Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple thought. The world is never shaped by noise, it is shaped by silence. What you hear in the headlines is often distraction, but what powerful nations choose not to say is where the real truth hides. And today I want to take you into that silence. The silence of Israel, as it quietly watches the rise of Pakistan. Why is a nation thousands of miles away with no official ties so cautious in its words about Pakistan? Why does it choose silence when it speaks so openly about others? The answer lies in something very few dare to admit. It lies in the strength of a country that, despite challenges, holds one of the most powerful assets in the world: nuclear capability. It lies in the geography of a nation that sits at the heart of Asia's future. It lies in resilience, in untapped potential, and in the ability to stand tall when the odds are stacked against it. This is not just about politics or strategy, it's about vision. Nations rise not when the world praises them, but when the world underestimates them, and yet they still prove their place in history. Pakistan is that story, and Israel, with all its strategic calculations, knows it. So stay with me until the very end of this journey, because what we are going to uncover is not just the truth about Pakistan's rise, but also the hidden reasons why even silence from a powerful nation can speak louder than words. This is a story of power, resilience, and the future. And I promise you, once you hear it, you will see the world map differently. Israel's approach toward Pakistan has always been marked by quiet observation rather than overt statements. A silence that is deliberate and deeply strategic. Unlike its open stance toward Iran or other regional actors, Israel maintains a subtle posture when it comes to Pakistan, knowing that openly acknowledging its rise would give global recognition to a country that is already commanding respect due to its nuclear strength and geopolitical role. This silence is not out of ignorance, but out of calculation. In international politics, what is not said often carries more weight than what is said. And Israel's silence about Pakistan reflects the seriousness with which it regards Islamabad's growing influence. Behind closed doors, Israeli policymakers and think tanks carefully monitor Pakistan's progress. They watch its defense developments, its growing diplomatic networks, and its deepening ties with powers like China, Russia, and the Gulf states. For Israel, the concern lies not just in Pakistan's current position, but in its potential to reshape regional dynamics, especially in the broader regional dynamics, especially in the broader Muslim world. Pakistan is not merely another developing country. It is one that commands both hard and soft power. Its military strength is one aspect, but its ability to inspire and unify narratives across Muslim nations is another dimension that Israel cannot dismiss. Moreover, Pakistan's stance on issues like Palestine adds another layer of complexity. Although there are no formal diplomatic ties between the two nations, Pakistan has consistently maintained a strong pro-Palestine voice, something that resonates with global Muslim populations. For Israel, this makes Pakistan more than just a distant Asian nation. It makes it a symbolic counterbalance in the ideological and political struggle of the Middle East. The quietness from Israel's side should therefore not be mistaken as lack of concern. It is a calculated strategy, a recognition that overt confrontation with Pakistan would only strengthen its global profile. Instead, Israel opts to observe, to calculate, and to prepare, acknowledging that Pakistan's resilience, growing economic potential, and nuclear status make it one of the most significant countries to watch in the coming decades. The silence is therefore strategic, and it reflects an unspoken admission. Pakistan's rise cannot be ignored. Pakistan's status as an atomic power places it in a unique category that Israel cannot overlook. It is the only Muslim-majority nation to possess nuclear weapons, and that alone makes it a central figure in the global balance of power. For Israel, whose own security environment is defined by the fear of hostile neighbors and the possibility of nuclear threats, Pakistan's nuclear capability is a matter of deep interest. While both nations are far apart geographically, the implications of Pakistan's nuclear program extend well beyond South Asia. It demonstrates that the Muslim world has the technological expertise, political will, and military capacity to achieve something that was once thought impossible under Western dominance. Pakistan's nuclear program was not built in isolation. It was the result of decades of determination, sacrifice, and strategic vision. It emerged despite international sanctions, embargoes, and global skepticism, proving that national resilience and unity can overcome the most formidable challenges. For Israel, this is both a lesson and a warning. It shows that a determined nation, regardless of its economic struggles or international pressure, can rise to secure its sovereignty and strategic independence. This achievement places Pakistan in a category where it commands respect, even from those who may view it as a rival. What makes the situation even more complex for Israel is Pakistan's consistent stance that its nuclear program is not for aggression, but for defense and deterrence. This narrative resonates with many countries, especially in the Muslim world, where Pakistan is seen as a guardian against nuclear imbalance. The symbolic value of an Islamic nation possessing nuclear weapons is far greater than the weapons themselves, and Israel knows that such symbolism carries weight in global politics. At the same time, Israel also recognizes the responsibility that comes with Pakistan's nuclear capability. The security of nuclear assets, the professionalism of its military, and the credibility of its command and control systems are closely watched and analyzed. The fact that Pakistan has successfully managed this responsibility for decades further reinforces its credibility as a nuclear power. Israel's silence and caution on this issue reflect the recognition that Pakistan has established itself as a permanent nuclear reality, one that no power can wish away or downplay. For Israel, Pakistan's atomic status is a reminder of the shifting balance in global power structures and the undeniable rise of a nation that stands firm in its sovereignty. Pakistan's geographical position has always been one of its greatest strengths, and for Israel, this reality is impossible to ignore. Situated at the crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, Pakistan occupies a location that makes it strategically valuable far beyond its borders. Its land connects energy-rich regions with consumer markets, and its ports, particularly Gwadar, give access to vital sea lanes in the Arabian Sea that link the Middle East to Asia and Africa. For Israel, a nation deeply concerned with trade routes, security corridors, and the balance of power in the Middle East, Pakistan's positioning is a factor that shapes long-term strategic thinking. This unique location allows Pakistan to serve as a bridge between civilizations and economies. On one side, it borders China, one of the world's fastest growing powers and Israel's own increasingly important economic partner. On the other side, it connects to Iran, Afghanistan, and the Gulf states, all of which hold deep significance for Israel's regional security considerations. Pakistan's ability to influence trade corridors, such as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPE, and its growing integration with Central Asian republics make it a crucial player in the competition for resources and connectivity. From a security perspective, Pakistan's location gives it leverage in regional conflicts and peace-building efforts. It has historically been a frontline state in global struggles, from the Cold War to the War on Terror, demonstrating that global powers cannot afford to overlook its role. For Israel, this translates into an understanding that Pakistan is not simply a regional actor. It is a state whose geography ensures it will remain relevant in international politics. Furthermore, Pakistan's positioning within the Muslim world is symbolic as well as strategic. It has cultural, historical, and religious ties across the Middle East, Central Asia, and South Asia, giving it a voice that carries weight in discussions that extend beyond borders. For Israel, this makes Pakistan not just a distant Asian nation, but a country with the potential to influence narratives in regions that are central to Israeli interest. This geographic centrality also explains why global powers, including China, the United States, Russia, and Gulf nations, continuously seek Pakistan's cooperation. Israel's quiet watchfulness stems from the recognition that Pakistan's geographic advantage, combined with its nuclear strength and military capability, makes it a pivotal state that cannot be underestimated in shaping the future of Asia and beyond. Pakistan's defense capabilities go far beyond the possession of nuclear weapons, and this reality is something Israel observes with caution. Over the years, Pakistan has steadily advanced its conventional military strength, developing one of the most capable armies in the region. Its air force is considered among the best trained in Asia. Equipped with both indigenous and foreign-built fighter jets, and supported by a growing defense industry that is increasingly focused on self-reliance. For Israel, a country that closely monitors military advancements across the world, Pakistan's rise as a defense power signals a shift in regional balance that cannot be dismissed. A critical aspect of Pakistan's defense strength lies in its missile program, which has achieved considerable range, accuracy, and deterrent value. The development of both short-range and long-range ballistic missiles ensures that Pakistan's defense posture is credible against larger adversaries. Israel, with its own advanced missile defense systems, pays close attention to these advancements, recognizing that Pakistan has achieved technological depth despite limited resources and significant external challenges. The symbolism of a Muslim-majority country possessing both advanced missile systems and nuclear warheads is not lost on Israel, as it underscores the determination of Pakistan to secure its sovereignty at all costs. Equally significant is Pakistan's growing defense industry. In recent years, it has moved from being largely import-dependent to producing its own tanks, drones, armored vehicles, and even collaborating internationally on sophisticated projects such as the JF-17 Thunder fighter jet. These developments not only enhance Pakistan's self-reliance, but also position it as an exporter of defense technology to other nations, including several in the Muslim world. For Israel, which has long been a major arms supplier in the global market, this shift introduces new competition and raises questions about the balance of influence in defense trade. Pakistan's alliances also add weight to its defense capabilities. Its strong ties with China, military cooperation with Turkey, and historical support from Gulf countries strengthen its overall security position. Joint exercises, defense technology sharing, and increasing interoperability with partner nations ensure that Pakistan is not isolated but embedded in a broader security network. For Israel, these combined factors, nuclear deterrence, missile strengths, and expanding defense industry and strategic alliances, paint a picture of a country steadily positioning itself as a formidable power. It reflects resilience, innovation, and strategic foresight, qualities that Israel recognizes and studies carefully, knowing that Pakistan's military rise has consequences for the wider balance of power in Asia and the Middle East. Global alignments are shifting rapidly, and Pakistan is emerging as a central piece in this evolving puzzle. For Israel, this is a matter of serious concern because these changes directly affect the balance of power in the Middle East and beyond. Historically, Pakistan has maintained close ties with the Muslim world, particularly the Gulf states. But in recent years, its partnerships have expanded significantly. The strengthening of relations with China through projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, deeper cooperation with Russia, and growing influence within organizations such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization demonstrate that Pakistan is aligning itself with major global players who are challenging Western dominance. For Israel, whose security strategy is closely tied to its partnerships with Western powers, especially the United States, these developments highlight a changing global order. The fact that Pakistan is positioned as a trusted partner of China, a rising global superpower, means that its influence now extends far beyond its immediate region. This alliance also opens the possibility of greater technological and defense cooperation, raising concerns for Israel about how these advancements could reshape regional security dynamics. At the same time, Pakistan's long-standing ties with Gulf nations, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, remain important. While these states are gradually normalizing relations with Israel, their dependence on Pakistan for military cooperation and security support continues. This puts Israel in a delicate position, knowing that Pakistan has both the military capability and the diplomatic leverage to influence decisions within the Gulf, a region central to Israeli interests. Russia's increasing engagement with Pakistan adds another layer of complexity. For decades, Moscow had been closer to India, but changing geopolitics have encouraged Russia to view Pakistan as an important partner in regional stability and energy cooperation. This diversification of Pakistan's alliances creates a web of relationships that makes it harder for any single power, including Israel, to predict or contain its influence. These shifts illustrate that Pakistan is no longer a country that can be boxed into a South Asian narrative. It is becoming part of a broader global realignment where East and West are competing for allies and influence. Israel watches this carefully, aware that Pakistan's partnerships not only increase its strength, but also give it a voice in shaping the future of global security and economic corridors. This quiet acknowledgement underscores the reality that Pakistan's rise is intertwined with the transformation of world power structures. The way Pakistan is perceived in mainstream narratives often contrasts sharply with the reality that countries like Israel quietly recognize. In much of the Western discourse, Pakistan is frequently portrayed through the lens of its challenges: political instability, economic pressures, and security concerns. These portrayals, while not entirely untrue, do not reflect the deeper strength and resilience of the nation. Israel, despite remaining silent in public, acknowledges that behind the difficulties lies a country with significant potential, one that has consistently demonstrated the ability to survive and rise in the face of overwhelming odds. For decades, Pakistan has faced sanctions, wars on its borders, internal instability, and intense international scrutiny. Yet it has preserved its sovereignty, maintained one of the most powerful militaries in the Muslim world, and upheld its nuclear status. This resilience is not lost on Israeli analysts and policymakers who understand that any nation capable of enduring such pressure and still projecting influence must be taken seriously. It is an acknowledgement that Pakistan cannot be dismissed as weak or irrelevant, even if the global media often attempts to paint it that way. Another reality Israel recognizes is the strength of Pakistan's human capital. With a population of over 240 million, a majority of whom are young, Pakistan holds the potential to emerge as an economic and cultural force in the decades ahead. Its diaspora across Europe, the Middle East, and North America already contributes significantly to global industries and political landscapes, amplifying Pakistan's influence beyond its borders. For Israel, this represents a future challenge and opportunity because a confident and globally connected Pakistan can reshape perceptions and policies within the Muslim world and beyond. Furthermore, Pakistan's consistent position on issues such as Palestine reflects a moral clarity that resonates deeply with Muslim nations and communities worldwide. This role as a vocal supporter of Palestinian rights, even without direct confrontation, adds to Pakistan's symbolic power. Israel knows that while countries may normalize ties or remain silent, Pakistan's unwavering position strengthens its credibility as a leader in the Islamic world. Thus, while the surface-level narrative often highlights Pakistan's weaknesses, the underlying reality is that it is a resilient, populous, nuclear-armed nation with growing influence. Israel quietly acknowledges this, choosing not to engage publicly, but carefully watching how Pakistan continues to rise against odds, shaping the direction of the Muslim world and influencing the broader balance of global power. In conclusion, what we see is a reality that few openly admit. Israel is quietly, carefully, and strategically watching Pakistan's rise, not because of public statements or direct confrontations, but because Pakistan has proven itself to be more than a regional power. It is the only Muslim-majority nuclear state. It holds a central geographic position. It has a resilient defense capability. It is forging powerful global alliances, and it carries the weight of a large and dynamic population. Beyond the challenges often highlighted lies the undeniable truth that Pakistan is rising in ways that shape the future balance of power across Asia, the Middle East, and even Europe. Israel's silence is in itself an acknowledgement of this growing influence, because silence often speaks louder than words. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on these realities, let us understand that global shifts are not only about economics or military might, but about resilience, vision, and the ability to adapt to change. Pakistan's story represents all three, and its rise is a chapter that the world cannot afford to overlook. I wish you all the very best as you continue to explore these ideas with an open mind. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your willingness to see beyond headlines into the deeper truths shaping our world today. Good luck and thank you.